All right. So it seems that we are live. That's great. Let me just send a message. Meanwhile, we're going to wait for a couple of minutes, and then in a couple of minutes, we're going to start. Right. Mm-hmm. Okay. One of the first things that I would like to ask you guys, if someone could give me some feedback as far as the audio. Let me know if it's too high, if it's too low, if you can hear me. And today we are going to talk about articles. So it's going to be quite exciting. Okay. Yeah, so somebody asked about articles in Italian, and specifically articles to do with well, the definite articles, because the definite articles, as we will see in today's session, cause more problems than indefinite articles. So that's something to bear in mind. I see. Yeah, we'll wait another 50 seconds and then we'll go. Much better. All right. Can you guys hear me now? If so, we can begin. And first of all, do you have any questions to start, or can I just go with some of the examples that I prepared? Especially if you have questions related to articles, that would be the topic of discussion today. No question. So we can begin. All right. Now you should be able to see the main document. And we're going to work with that document. Okay, fantastic. Again, let me know if the fonts are too big or too small, if you cannot see very well, or if there is any problem. If not, I will just assume that everything is fine. The topic of discussion today is Italian articles, but I would like to get into the problems to do with the articles, because we have many videos on articles, and articles are relatively easy. It's a relatively easy concept. So today we're going to focus on the problems that we encounter as students of Italian. And there is really one main problem. So it's easy to sort of laser focus on it and make sure that we understand it. So first of all, we are let's paint the picture as far as what we're talking about, the context, and where articles come into play. Articles is a type of is a class of words. So the technical term is class. It's a type of word, class of word that has a specific function. When we discuss classes, so for example, articles, nouns, adjectives, we are discussing what? Can anybody in the chat tell me? It's a certain type of analysis, right? We can look at language and discuss many different types of analysis on a particular language or a particular sentence, a phrase. There's a specific type of analysis that people really engage with when they start learning any language. And that's the type of analysis that divides words into classes. Does anybody know? I will often challenge you to answer. So type in the answer in the chat if you know, or if you think you may know the correct answer. The correct answer is parts of speech. Right? So parts of speech is a topic in and of itself. It can be interesting or boring depending on the point of view. But parts of speech is mainly interested in separating words based on classes of words. So we have nouns, we have verbs, and we have articles. We also have many more, but let's just not list them all out. Let's just focus on the fact that articles is what we wish to cover today. Now, each type of, or each class of words has a specific function. Nouns, for example, are useful to define concepts or entities, right? So, for example, John is an entity, is a person. The dog is an entity. So dog, for example, is another example of noun. Umbrella is another example. Verbs, to speak, to read. So these are all verbs. Verbs in general are action words, so they define actions. Articles. Now, articles is a little tricky because they are less important than verbs and nouns, for example. Also, not all languages have articles. And most languages have verbs. We need action words to describe what it is we're doing. Most languages have nouns. We need to describe what it is that we talk about. What's the subject? What's the object? But articles are less important. Articles help us define which type of entity we're talking about, especially if it's near or far away. For example, a dog. A dog. Can you see the screen? Let me just double check that you can see it. And yes, you should be able to see it. So a dog is a perfect example of what I'm talking about. So dog in this case would be the noun, and there's nothing really to say about it. It's clear enough. A is the article. A is an indefinite article. So here we understand that it's not a particular dog that we're talking about. It's just a dog in general. A dog. If I said the dog, right? The dog. This would basically mean that we're talking about a specific dog. And this is the idea behind articles, indefinite articles, definite articles. They give us a little bit of a hint as far as which concept we are talking about, what entity we are, which entity we are referring to. We're referring to a dog, we're referring to this or that. In Italian, this would be il cane, right? So, an example, the dog. We can make it big. Make it like this. Yeah. Dog, il cane. So this would be the dog. Un cane, a dog. Simple enough. Now there's two levels of complexity. One really is a bit trivial, and that is sometimes words that begin with a vowel need a different article. So in English, it's quite easy. You have a and an. So a dog, an umbrella. You don't really have many variations. You don't have many different types of dog, for example. You don't have any different types of articles that go with any particular word. However, in Italian, you do have different types. You have un, you have uno, you have una, obviously based on gender, un, and then the apostrophe, and we can talk about this. So this is what we're dealing with. We have separate versions of what is really the same functional word, depending on the word that comes after. So depending on the noun that they are going with. So if it's cane, the word cane begins with a consonant. So in most cases, we go with un. Most cases, because there are some exceptions. If it's, say, a noun that starts with, say, a noun that's feminine, for example, and that starts with a vowel, un'anatra, then we have the apostrophe. Yeah. So there are different, it's trying to correct me, but this is correct. So there are different versions of the same thing. So far, no major problems, right? This is a very basic idea. A basic idea where you have different versions of the same article. Now, the problem that we are seeing in Italian is that there are words such as delle. In fact, I highlighted these two at the very beginning. I prepared these two at the very beginning. Dei, delle. These are also indefinite articles, but they are confusing because they look exactly the same as other words. For example, they look exactly the same as what? Dei, delle. So let's just assume that we're talking about some dogs. Some dogs. So we want to translate some dogs. Obviously, some is an indefinite article in the plural version. right? So you would say a dog if it was singular, and you say some dogs if there's multiple ones. Now let's say that we want to translate this in Italian. So some dogs, dei cani. Now I'll give you 30 seconds to think about why this could be confusing. What other word can be found in Italian that looks and obviously sounds exactly like they? And by the way, in Italian, if two words look the same, they also are pronounced the same. Because in Italian, there aren't pronunciation patterns, but there are rules. So if you have a certain sequence of words, a sequence of letters, they are always pronounced the exact same. Anyways, so what do you think? Feel free to use the chat and let me know if you have an idea. Right. So, okay, ciao. The correct answer, and you should really think about this for yourself and try to answer if you can, because the more interactive, the more you try to remember something, the better the outcome. On a long enough time scale, you're going to remember and retain more words. So here's another word that could be confusing. So someone might say dei cani. Dei cani sono al parco. So there are dogs, some dogs are in the park. Right. So the problem is, what if I wanted to translate this other sentence in Italian? What is the color of the dogs? What is the color of dogs in general? Or what is the average weight of dogs? The key here is of the dogs. And this is the reason why I made this video. This is the reason why we are discussing articles, definite articles, and prepositions in this live session. The reason is that prepositions, which is another class of words. Do you remember when we were talking about parts of speech and all the different classes? And we have nouns, we have verbs, we have articles. We also have prepositions, right? We have prepositions. So articles like the, a, an, etc. Prepositions. Prepositions are what? They're very, very useful and very, very tiny, very small. They're short words that allow us to create constituents that allow us to create complexity in our speech. For example, for. For example, for is already a preposition. Of is another preposition. To is another preposition. So if I go to Rome, I need to express myself. And the reason for this is that many verbs can have small differences in meaning depending on the preposition that you use. For example, if I go to a place, that means something. If I am in a place, or if I am at, like, there are slight differences in the meaning, in the overall meaning. So this is the reason why we have prepositions, to have more complexity, more, our speech is going to be more rich, and we're going to be able to say more things. Now, prepositions are nice because they don't change. They're short words that never change. They don't change from masculine to feminine, plural, singular. They don't really follow any of those rules. They're just static words that allow us to say what we want to say. Now, in Italian, we have prepositions just like we have in English. So, these are examples that I want to show later on. So in Italian, we have prepositions just like we have in English. What are the Italian prepositions? And I'm not a big fan of studying things off by heart, but this is one of the things that you should really learn, right? If you're serious about learning Italian, you should be learning the simple prepositions. There's also they rhyme, basically. So it's almost like a song, right? Di, a, da, in, con, su, per, tra, fra. Di, a, da, in, con, su, per, tra, fra. These are very, very, very important, and they're also very simple. It's over. Like, the list is that list. There's nothing else to remember. Di, a, da, in, con, su, per, tra, fra. Okay, so these are all very useful words. They never change. So I recommend you get used to them, learn them, and they're very useful. For example, if I wanted to say, and by the way, this is the translation. So di is of. Arturo dice, che colore dei cani? Che colore dei cani? Okay, so he's trying to write. So this is a very good attempt. Che colore dei cani? Let me just double check. Che colore dei cani? So first of all, it's understandable, almost 100% correct. We need a verb. So we need a verb, is. And also, the question word that was used, che. Now, it is true that sometimes what can translate with che. However, this is not the main translation of what. If you put into, say, Google Translate or any vocabulary, what, the translation that you will get is probably different. Can you find out? And I leave Arturo with that. Meanwhile, let's translate the prepositions just so that we are sure what they mean. So di, of, a, to, da, from or by. Now this is awful. I mean, normally I wouldn't do this. When I learn a language, when I teach a language, I will never do this. I will never translate word for word because I'm guaranteed to be wrong. However, when we start learning a new language, we have to know what the words mean. And so we are going to make concessions. And these short words, prepositions, we can make concessions and we can definitely get an idea for what they mean, right? Da can mean a variety of things. Can mean a variety of things. I could say vado da Marco. And this means I go to visit Marco. So da in this context means to, right? Marco meaning, vado da. It basically means his house, his place. Go to Marco's. There you go. But this is not congruent with this translation. Why? Well, say out of 100 cases, 99, in 99 of them, da means from. So, vengo da Milano. This means I come from Milano. La lettera è stata mandata da me. So the letter was sent, technically has been sent, but in Italian we often use the present perfect to mean just the past simple. So the letter was sent by me. So as you can see, da can mean a lot of different things, but more often than not, from and by. In is just in, con is with, su is on, per is, again, this is a difficult one, and this is between. All right. So we know the simple prepositions. We know what they mean in English. Now, let's go back to our problem. Our original problem is that we have a simple article. Some dogs are at the park. And then we have another sentence. What is the color of the dogs? Che cosa? Che colore di che cosa? With a verb, then it's che cos'è? Che cos'è? Okay. Yeah, so Arturo is right. So he's improved on his previous version. Che cosa? With the verb che cos'è? Che cos'è? So che cos'è? So which would basically so this is the shortened version of che cosa è, right? Che cosa è. So what is it? What is it? We can translate what is it with sorry, just making a mess here. So what is it? We can translate it with che cosa è or che cos'è. Indeed, that's correct. But I'm not asking what is the color of the dogs as in what is the word color, or I'm asking what is something, not what is it. So it's cosa. So what is cosa? In this case is quale, because it's which. Actually, a better translation in English would have been which is the color of these dogs. Let's try not to be too concerned with this part of the translation. I think that the part of the translation that's more important for what we need to discuss today is color of the dogs, which, by the way, Arturo nailed. So it was perfect and correct from the start. Colore dei cani. We can actually change the sentence and just make it the color of the dogs is blue. So il colore dei cani è blu. Can you see the issue? Dei cani sono al parco. So this time dei is some, right? In this case, dei cani, some dogs. This is the translation. But here, dei cani is of the dogs. And this is very confusing. The reason for this is that, as you've seen before, exactly. As Arturo points out, dei means some and also of the. And, you know, if this was just an exception in Italian, we could just learn it. We could just say, oh, okay, well, of the and whatever else, they are pronounced in the same way. They're written in the same way. Okay, let's learn it. I'm gonna study, I'm gonna remember it, and then I'm gonna use it. But this is not the case. So we have a few places in Italian where this occurs, and it occurs for a very, well, I don't know if it's a very good reason, but for a very specific reason. So we've seen the articles, and we have also seen that there are things called prepositions. Where is the preposition here? The preposition is of. And we don't have a preposition in Italian in this case. We have the preposition and the article all in one word. And this happens all of the time. You know, 9 times out of 10, Italians don't use prepositions unless they have to. They use this type of format. So they basically merge the preposition and the article, and they become one word. And this word is called complex preposition. Complex because the article and the preposition are merged together. So without that merging, it would be il colore di I cani. But this is very tricky. I mean, it would be very strange to pronounce. Il colore di I cani. So di plus I, which means of, the simple preposition of, plus the definite article I, come together to form dei. Now, you might ask, okay, so I'm going to have to study 100 different combinations of articles and prepositions, and the fact that they can merge together like every single combination. Kind of. So there aren't many. This is the thing. And this is why so many people get hung up on this. There aren't many cases, and the ones that happen all the time. They're all the same. I mean, if you listen to an Italian speak, the word dei is probably pronounced 10 times every, 5 minutes. Very, very common. So the preposition of, so this is my challenge. This is what I have to say to you. If you're watching this video, if you're attending this lesson and you say, okay, well, no way I'm going to learn 100 different, they're not 100, they're less than that, but no way that I'm going to learn all the possible combinations. Let me just tell you this. First of all, a lot of combinations don't merge together. So there aren't many combinations. This is the first one. The second thing is only learn the ones that you absolutely need. And those are very, very few. For example, of. How many times you will have to pronounce or include this preposition in a sentence? Very often. So this is perhaps the most common preposition. So wouldn't it be a good idea to learn that this preposition does bind with the articles? Probably, historically, because it's so common. And then learn these combinations. So let's take a look at the combinations. So di plus I is dei. Di plus la, della. Di plus lo, dello. Di plus gli, degli. Di plus le, delle. I mean, it's really not too difficult. Maybe I'm biased, but it seems easy, at least easy to remember, at least easy to pronounce. And these are going to be very, very common. For example, the teachers of the school. So how would you translate this? Oh, okay, so we have a question. So the question is, how can I tell which is the meaning of, so which is which, basically, based on the fact that I'm listening to someone speak to me and I don't know when they say dei or delle, which is which. I would say the context. The context is what helps. Obviously, yeah, we're dealing with a word that is the same as another word, right? It's a little bit like the word to in English. So you have so you have the word to. I'm going to go back to the examples in just a minute. So you have the word to, and you don't know what to I'm talking about. It could be to as in 1 + 1. It could be to as in the preposition. We go to Paris. It could be to as in me too. There's many different tos, and when I say that as a non-English native speaker, then what happens is early on I would be a bit confused because there's tos all around. And then you learn to dissect by learning all the patterns. So basically all the other words around the word that is concerning. And sometimes the word remain ambiguous, like to. If someone just said the word to you, you wouldn't necessarily know as a native speaker or not. You need the context to, understand what that word is trying to instruct or say. The same exact thing with dei. Dei fiori. Ti porto dei fiori. I bring to you some flowers. Let's write it down. Hold on. Right? Ti porto dei fiori. I bring to you some flowers. Now, if I didn't say to you what that means, well, it's very unlikely that I'm going to bring to you of the flowers. It's more likely that I'm going to bring you some flowers. So, ti porto dei fiori. Dei is definitely, in this case, some. Il colore delle stelle. So, il colore delle stelle. Same thing. The color, if I can write, which sometimes doesn't seem to be the case, the color stars. Color stars. Again, the color some stars. Doesn't make sense. Il colore delle stelle. The color of the stars, right? Ci sono delle stelle luminose. Ci sono delle stelle luminose. There are, ci sono, there are delle stars, bright stars, luminose, bright stars. There are of the bright stars, doesn't make sense. There are some bright stars. Ci sono delle stelle luminose. Right, and so this is interesting. The teacher of the school. This is a question for you in the chat. What do you guys think? The teachers of the school. Do you need... Oh, okay, we already have an answer. Arturo, l'insegnante... So Arturo says, l'insegnante dello scuola. L'insegnante dello scuola. So there is a mistake. It's basically correct. This is really good, by the way. Excellent. Congratulations. It's almost perfect. There is one little thing that's wrong. I'm going to give you 30 seconds to figure it out, and then I'm going to tell you. But this is really good. And by the way, anybody could understand this, you know, the teachers of the school. Oh, and there's a little difficulty that I didn't realize when I thought the example in my head. There's a little difficulty here. The difficulty that I didn't account for regards gender. And the sentence in English is genderless because there is no information for me to go with and think that the teachers in question are male and female or male or female. So we have no idea. So we're going to have to make a decision as far as how to translate this. Feminine, della. Exactly. So the word scuola is feminine. And therefore, we need la, of the school. Of the, di, la. So, della. Indeed. Well done, Arturo. And l'insegnante della scuola. Now, this is good. This means the teacher of the school. However, the teachers, this becomes a little bit more tricky. And by the way, after this, we finished the session because we've been going non-stop for 40 minutes. I want these sessions to be short and sweet so that we can laser beam focus on something. L'insegnante della scuola. L'insegnante della scuola. Okay, so we said gli insegnanti. So the first thing to deal with is the fact that Italian has genders, feminine or masculine, and there are also exceptions. So for example, gatto is a masculine word. We know that because it ends in O. If we wanted to specify a female cat, we could just say gatta, gatte, gatti. Multiple female cats, multiple male cats. The word for teacher is slightly irregular, which means irregular. Insegnante, insegnante, insegnanti. So it ends in E. And the plural ends in I. And this is a departure at the very best. At the very least, it's a departure from the usual patterns. So when I say the teachers, it would be gli insegnanti. Exactly. Gli insegnanti. Oops, I made a mistake. Gli insegnanti della scuola. And if we want to become, if you want to really split hairs, gli insegnanti is the masculine version. So the plural masculine versions. This means that they could be a mix or they could all be male teachers. What if they were only female teachers? So at this point, we would need the feminine plural version. And insegnante, as I said, is irregular. The plural form is always I insegnanti, because it's irregular. So this would stay the same. However, this would become the feminine definite article in the plural form. Le insegnanti, right? Definite articles are very simple. There is il, lo, and then this. And then we have la, and this. Oh no, actually, I don't think we have this. Yes, we do. And yes, we do. Okay, la. And then we have the plural forms. Gli. And le. And I'm sure I'm forgetting something. But, that's all there is, right? So the plural form for the feminine is le. End of story. So we can have le here. Le insegnanti della scuola. And this would be of the. So preposition plus article. It wouldn't be just the indefinite article della. Okay? Della fortuna. Some luck, right? This becomes indefinite article singular della fortuna. Some luck. Exactly. And I am going to leave you with a couple of examples that I prepared. Let's see what kind of... oh, yeah. This is what I meant to prepare. The rest of it was just notes that I wasn't meant to show. Just another version. Doesn't make any sense. This is the version that I wanted to show you. So I'll give you a couple of minutes to translate these. Then I will translate them myself. And then we're going to close the live for today because I think we've done quite a bit of work, and I'm tired. I'm sure other people are tired as well. So the idea behind these exercises is to understand the definite articles indefinite articles and the complex prepositions, which is a simple preposition plus a definite article. So we have some clashes and we need to practice so that they become natural. And then we don't think about it anymore. So the word for color is colore. The word for weight is peso. The word for value is valore. Then we have the word for giraffe, giraffa. Word for elephants, elefante. And money is soldi. Remember, in Italian, money is plural, right? It's like riches, right? Think of the word riches. So do you have riches? I have riches. She has riches. He doesn't have riches. It's a silly way to think about it, but it works because in Italian, the money is plural. Even if you only have one, if you only have one coin, €1, one whatever, it's plural, which I guess makes people feel good. Oh, okay. Thank you. Arturo is going. All right. Thank you. I appreciate that you enjoyed the lesson. I appreciate that you've been very active on this on the chat. And yeah, wish you the best. And I'll see you soon. Awesome to have you. All right, so let's go. Let's quickly translate. So the color of giraffes, of the giraffes. Bear in mind that in Italian, a lot of the you always use the definite article. So it's very rare that you don't have the definite article in between a preposition and the noun, which is the reason why also there is such a thing as complex preposition. So they come in to help. So il colore di le giraffe. Of is di. So di plus le becomes il colore delle giraffe. The weight of the elephants. So now we're dealing with masculine words, right? Il peso di gli. Why gli? Well, we would have to look at all the rules to do with which exact definite article goes with the word based on how the word begins, if it begins with a vowel or not. Those are rules, and those are really, really boring, and we haven't focused on it on this video. In this video, we can focus on it in a later video if you guys feel that it's something that you want to see more of. But it's quite simple. Gli elefanti. Elefanti. The plural version of elefante, which is masculine. Il peso degli elefanti, which becomes il peso degli elefanti. So di plus article always binds. So it's very useful to learn these. The value of money. Il valore. Why? Because valore is masculine. Valore, valori. Il valore di I soldi. Now, I soldi. We've seen it's plural, and we've already seen D plus I. D plus I binds and forms which complex preposition? We've seen it at the very beginning of today's lesson. Here we go. Day. Day. Super common, right? Where is it? Il valore di I soldi would be very difficult to pronounce, although there's many cases in Italian where you have the same vowel repeated twice, and those vowels, even though they're the same, they have to be pronounced one after the other. It's very different in that sense, the way Italian behaves compared to, say, English, for example. Anyways, we are not discussing pronunciation today. Il valore dei soldi. Here we go. I think that we can call it a day. It's been fantastic. We've basically touched upon all the things I wanted to discuss in depth, because we looked at the simple prepositions. We looked at the problem that we have. First of all, the problem that we have of the and some. So the problems that we have with our articles and prepositions. What is a preposition? Why is there? And how the prepositions bind with articles to form the very words that we looked at the beginning, such as dei, della, dello, degli, delle, etc. There are more words like this, and I invite you to do your own homework and comment below this video if you still struggle. I think that the examples that we looked at were decent, not too easy, not too difficult. And I hope you've enjoyed the lesson. I will keep this going. So every Sunday, 2 p.m. GMT, we're going to do Italian. It doesn't matter what questions, it doesn't matter, who turns up, what we do, what we decide to tackle. We're always going to do a little bit of Italian, a little bit of exercise, between 20 minutes and an hour max. Ideally, I would like to keep them short and sweet, say less than 30 minutes, even if they're live sessions. I don't think they should go on for too long. All right. Thank you very much, everyone, and I will see you in the next next week, I guess. Take care, and bye.